A poltergeist didn't just rattle chains in a farmhouse. It spoke, predicted death, and left a family begging for mercy. Between 1817 and 1821, the Adams family in Robertson County, Tennessee documented something that defied explanation. Not folklore, not hearsay. Written accounts, witness testimonies from neighbors and clergy, and a body of evidence so substantial that historians still argue about what actually happened. I've spent weeks combing through period records, and what emerges isn't a ghost story. It's a documented disturbance that terrorized one household for 4 years straight. Let's establish the baseline. John Bell, a farmer of modest means, lived on a property near the Red River with his wife Lucy and their 9 children. In December 1817, his son John Jr. reported seeing what he described as a creature 4 feet tall, covered in fur, prowling the edge of the property. Bell dismissed it, most parents would. But within weeks, the incidents escalated beyond a simple animal sighting. Exhibit 1: The physical manifestations. By early 1818, family members reported hearing distinct knocking sounds on the exterior walls, rhythmic, intentional, impossible to attribute to wind or animals. Then came the scratching, audible, persistent scratching at windows and doors, always at night, always when the family gathered together. The eldest daughter, Betsy Bell, became the focal point. Objects moved in her presence. Bedclothes yanked away. Her hair pulled violently while witnesses stood in the room. Here's where it gets stranger. Exhibit 2: The entity began to communicate, not through a Ouija board, not through seance theatrics, through human speech. Witnesses documented hearing distinct words, then full sentences emanating from empty air. The voice grew louder, clearer, more articulate as weeks turned to months. By spring 1818, the thing was singing hymns off-key, mocking, and reciting scripture backwards. The family's pastor visited. He heard it too. The voice identified itself as the Bell Witch, though accounts differ on whether it claimed to be a deceased woman, a demon, or something else entirely. What's documented is that it made predictions. Specific, detailed predictions. It announced the deaths of livestock before they occurred, then it predicted the death of John Bell himself. And on December 20, 1820, John Bell died. The voice had been accurate. Exhibit 3: The behavioral pattern. The disturbances weren't random. They escalated when strangers visited. They intensified when the family tried to leave the property. They responded to questions, sometimes truthfully, sometimes evasively. Betsy Bell attempted to move away multiple times. The phenomena followed her or worsened until she returned. This isn't typical poltergeist activity. Poltergeists are usually tied to one location. This entity seemed bound to a person. The historical record is thick here. In 1821, the phenomenon abruptly ceased. No final confrontation, no exorcism, no dramatic climax, it simply stopped. The voice announced it would leave for 7 years, then return. Those 7 years came and went. There's no documented evidence it ever returned. The family moved on, life resumed. But the accounts remained, written down, witnessed by neighbors, corroborated by clergy. Now the skeptical take. Exhibit 4: Alternative explanations exist. Some researchers point to ergot poisoning, a fungal toxin that causes hallucinations and was common in grain stores of the era. Others suggest mass hysteria, psychological trauma, or outright fabrication. The daughter Betsy was 13 when the disturbances began. Adolescence, poltergeist activity, and psychological vulnerability often cluster in case studies. It's worth considering. But here's the friction. Ergot poisoning affects entire communities, not isolated households. And the documented accounts are too consistent, too detailed, and too corroborated across multiple independent witnesses to dismiss as pure delusion. The behavioral complexity, the entity's ability to predict events, respond contextually to questions, and escalate in response to specific triggers, exceeds what we'd expect from either poisoning or adolescent psychology alone. What we're left with is a documented historical event that resists easy categorization. The Bell Witch case isn't proof of the supernatural. It's evidence of something that occurred, something witnessed, recorded, and preserved across nearly 2 centuries. Whether you interpret it as psychological, environmental, or genuinely paranormal depends on what framework you bring to the evidence. The real lesson here is this: we live in an era obsessed with dismissing historical accounts as superstition. But the Bell Witch case was investigated by educated contemporaries, clergy, physicians, neighbors with no stake in fabrication. They documented what they experienced. We can critique their conclusions without erasing their observations. The question isn't whether ghosts exist, it's whether we're willing to sit with the discomfort of the genuinely unexplained. Subscribe, there's a new documented case every week, and I investigate them the same way, with evidence first, conclusions second. Subscribe, there's a new documented case every week, and I investigate them the same way, with evidence first, conclusions second.